The Sandy and Toddcast is a Mind Garden Media podcast in association with
Screw You, Todd
Productions. It's a Thursday livecast.
It's a Thursday livecast. Hi, Todd.
How you doing?
Good.
First thing I noticed is everybody. We all have different lighting in our studios tonight.
Yeah. What's up with your lighting?
Well, you went with a different color, right?
I did.
And our guest David Black kind of has like a red theme to his, so I thought, well, I'll change mine to red. I'll put up one of those lava lamps back there on the screen. So I am set. Now I kind of feel kind of devilish, to be honest with you.
Do you? You look a little devilish tonight. That backdrop color is very good. I like it a lot. A lot.
So here we are. It's not a Thirsty Thursday. This is a live cast.
Yes.
This is an interview with David Black. We'll tell you a little bit about him, but we just had pretty much like a 30-minute conversation with this guy. And we were talking about Aboriginal stuff, and we're talking about bunyips, and we're talking about feature films and alien chick babes from outer space. I don't know what we were talking about, but zombie babes.
Yes, we'll have to find out a little bit more about that, because Todd's eyes lit up when he talked about that movie.
It's going to be genius. I just know it
great.
is.
It's great, and this guy is so nice, and he is such a character, and I absolutely love him already. So this is going to be a really great hour. So thank you to everybody who's joining us tonight. This is going to be really, really fun. Now, Todd, we did have an incident in our Tarot Tuesday where we had a spammer come in and kind of annoyed everybody. And now that we're a little more established and we have more regulars, more viewers, more people coming in, we've decided that we're going to start having a moderator, just so that it makes it a little bit easier for everybody in the room, in the chat, to not get spammed and to not have people coming in and doing things they shouldn't be doing. And it takes a little bit of the heat off of us of trying to monitor it. So a big thank you to Jason, who is moderating for us tonight.
Yep. And he may be on staff full time. Who knows? Or we might look for some other help.
On staff. I love it.
He's also going to be in charge of popping up some of the messages that come through, so I don't have to focus so much on that. So yes. I think we're up to speed all the way up to Joanne. Yeah, Joe, I look better without a hat, I guess. I was able to do my hair tonight.
You know what's funny is I really like the hat, but by the same token, you're on point tonight. You look great. He hates it when I compliment him. But he is. He's on point. Anyways.
So at any rate, Thirsty Thursdays, taking a little bit of a break. Doesn't mean we won't be on Thursdays, but we're going to do some other stuff.
Yep.
What do we have planned? Do we have our week ahead of us? What do we got coming up?
Okay, so Sunday, we have two big things happening on Sunday. Number one, our episode 2.6, season 2, episode 6, Tarot 101 part 2 drops on Sunday. That's our audio cast. That has Sudi, Sudi, and it has Zeke, and we'll be highlighting Sudi and Zeke, 2 of our 4 readers, and I listened to it, I edited it up, and it's gonna be a fantastic audio cast.
Can you say edited it up again one more time?
Edited it up.
Okay,
I have a
like
problem with that. Thanks for highlighting that.
I can't do it either, so I was making fun of myself too.
But yeah, so that drops on Sunday, and then we have probably one of the live casts that I am probably up in my top 10 live casts that we're doing. This one, we're going to welcome Sue Goff and Damon Jacobs from the Adirondack Park Paranormal Society on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And they're going to talk with us all about their group, their experiences, and also we're going to get to talk about a recent investigation that my group, the Fort Schuyler Paranormal Society, teamed up with apps, we call them apps, at a very old church, circa 1820s, here in our area. They had to drive 3 hours to get here and stayed the weekend, and we did an investigation. So we'll talk a lot about that to go into more depth with that. That was an amazing night. So I'm so excited. So 1 p.m. Eastern, a Sunday fun day that you're not going to want to miss. We're going to be speaking with Damon and Sue from APS, Adirondack Park Paranormal Society.
And here's the thing, you on a technical scale, we've talked about this before, technology eludes you.
Beyond.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, you're like a -6. We say that all the time.
Yeah.
But Damon is very technically inclined. So when he's on the podcast with you, that evens you out to almost like a 2. Which is kind of nice. Yeah.
I hope he brings me up a little bit. I hope so. Let's just hope.
You hope.
Because I don't even know how I get on here some nights. I
don't know either. Sometimes I wonder if you're not going to pop on from the bathtub by accident. I'm taking my bath.
I'm meditating. And Damon is the founder of APS, and also he is like the tech guru. So he's very scientifically inclined, whereas Sue knows some of the equipment, but Sue has a lot of intuitive ability, sort of like me. We actually worked together previously on an investigation, and we love each other. And so she sort of is that other side of the fence, whereas Damon is very science oriented. So it's going to be really, really cool. And he has an amazing background.
Yeah, I can't. They'll be fun to talk to.
Yeah.
Twisted Tuesday, next Tuesday night, our live cast, 8:00 Eastern time. Twisted Tuesday, Lisa's gonna basically tell the story of a little town here in Wisconsin called Ripon, Wisconsin. Originally, it was where Ripon Good cookies were made for many, many, many years. If you've ever seen those on your store shelves, and a quaint little town. But guess what? Murder.
I can't even say it like that. Very, very good.
I was actually, when this happened, I was a news director at a radio station in that town. And so I was working the night it happened.
I'm not ignoring you. I'm reading what Jason wrote. I can't do that. I can't do the Swedish Chef. I wish I could. I'm not that talented. Todd, can you do it?
Yay, borley, day rooms.
I knew you could.
That's all I can really do.
I know you could. I can't. I can do a little Australian. Good day, mate. No worries.
All right. When David comes out, he's going to whip you on that one.
Make fun of me. I know.
And then on Thursday, we have another interview Thursday with Dr. Chris Sumner, who's a paranormal investigator, founder of Soul Sisters Paranormal, historical preservation, historical locations. That will be a lot of fun. You know, I love talking about the ghosts.
I know. So excited about this one. And I talked to Chris briefly, and she's based, I believe, in Ocala, Florida. And she's very up on historical locations. They've had a lot of different experiences. She's a ghost hunter. She's got all kinds of things to her credential. And I love the fact that she is a woman paranormal investigator. She has her own paranormal investigations group, and she basically kicks butt. And so she'll be on next Thursday night. So I can't wait for that either.
Looking forward to that. Yeah. I'd say we get our Thursday live cast going.
Let's do it. I want to introduce David Black. He is a producer and actor, and he's quite a character. He grew up and lives in Melbourne, Australia. He's an actor, writer, producer, director in films. Started off his creative endeavors as a cartoonist by publishing his first underground comic called Gooby at the age of 17. As a cartoonist, he had a cartoon strip called Punks and published a comic book, Punks in Space, back in 1993. David's also a writer of short stories. He currently writes for the Australian Short Film Network Journal. And if that's not enough, and we have the picture to prove it, David is also a bass player, singer, and songwriter. He played in the theatrical rock band Darkness Visible, which gigged across Melbourne in 1994.
I got to show this picture.
Oh, please do.
Because this is good stuff. That's David on the right.
That's amazing. That made my day when I saw that picture.
I was wondering if he fashioned that after a bunyip. To be honest with you, I wasn't sure. I didn't know.
I don't know. It kind of looks familiar to me, but I don't know. I didn't even see a bunyip until I got backstage with you guys and you were looking through pictures.
I think he pulls off a skirt pretty well, too, to be honest. I think that's
he
a
really
skirt.
Does.
Yeah.
I think it is. He looks great. He has recorded 10 songs in the studio. It was the band that actually segged him into filmmaking when he started making music videos. Between 2009 and 2017, he produced 10 music videos. This man is amazing. His films include, you ready? Life, Love, and Death, The Road to Hell is Still Undefined, Malevolent Pursuit, and my personal favorite, Cannibal Barbecue. And
I love it.
His latest, a feature film called Badass Bunyip is due out very, very soon. So without further ado, welcome to the Sandy and Toddcast, David Black.
Hey, David. Thanks for being on with us today.
Hey. G'day, mate. No worries.
Thank you.
Now, wait a minute. I got to get your personal opinion on her Australian accent because I thought it was a little lacking.
Oh, it's better than a dingo's got my baby.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's great. Well, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for joining us. I've been really excited about this because just the idea of a badass bunyip really gets me laughing and very intrigued.
And yet, in talking with David off camera here earlier, we were talking about a bunyip because in America we have no idea what that is. And you and I, Sandy, were talking a little bit about how it kind of reminds us of the stories of like the Loch Ness or Sasquatch or something like that. It's something that you grow up hearing about, but in this case, we don't know what it is.
Right.
So I guess, would you at least start with that, David, for us and kind of fill us in on what that is?
Oh, for sure. Actually, I noticed, I saw a little map the other day of America, and the person had put the legendary monsters of every state there, everything from a chupacabra to the lot. And so in Australia, we've got our own, but we didn't come up with it ourselves. It was here long before, well, I shouldn't say ourselves. Australia is all people that are here. But it came up before white colonial settlement, with Captain Cook. Basically, it comes from Aboriginal law. And it's a mean killing machine. It's just nothing like anything you find in the Dreamtime stories of the different Aboriginal tribes. They're usually very deep and meaningful. They fit patterns. I can never quite get my head around it because I'm not Aboriginal. I wasn't brought up with those stories. I've got my own culture. But I do find that these stories are very interesting and beautiful. And then there's this monster that has no rhyme, no reason, and you have no chance. It just doesn't quite fit. And it seems that there are no depictions of it that match each other. There are newspaper stories going back to the first newspapers in Australia. All it's known is that it's aquatic. It can pop out of a swamp. It can pop out of a billabong. But you don't get them in the deep sea. So tribes that are along the coast don't tend to talk about them. So it's more inland. Mm-hmm. But there's really nothing known about them, and all of the depictions are different.
And that's interesting because you said that some of the tribes don't even discuss it. Is it very tribe? Do only certain tribes know of this creature?
That I'm not sure, because when I did all of my research, to get away from whatever my thoughts might have been with what I was brought up with, all of my research was really around the Boonwurrung clan, which is the clan from my area. There are different tribes within that clan. And in my area, that's where you've got a bunyip. But going a little bit further too, there's a little town, little city in Victoria called Geelong, and there are a lot of reports of them from Geelong. Now, Geelong, if you were driving, you can get there in about an hour and a half, as long as you're not stopping in traffic. I mean, to get across Melbourne takes probably that time because of all of the traffic lights. But if you're out on the freeway, an hour and a half to Geelong. I think that takes you outside of the Boonwurrung into a wider clan. I think they're called the Woiwurrung. So I really just looked at the local stories. So they're all Victorian. So I really don't know if the bunyip is something spoken about in the Northern Territory or, across the other side of Australia.
Now, one thing that you mentioned to me the other day when we were chatting was how right in the middle of the city, there is a certain tree.
The Nagaji tree.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is the story about that?
Well, I found out the story from an Aboriginal woman. I've lived in this area since I was 13, and I'm now 57. And I've walked past the exact spot where this tree and this little bit of native bushland is. I've walked past it many, many times and never thought about it. One day I was on a tram and an Aboriginal lady just started speaking to me. It was different to anything I could describe. She was, at first I didn't know she was speaking to me. She's very softly spoken. Must have been a storyteller with her clan because it's very interesting. And she just starts talking about the Nagaji tree. And by the time she's got the story finished, she points and we're moving at that exact spot past the Nagaji tree. Mm-hmm. Now I'm on a tram and I'm at the most built up public transport area that I can think of in all of Australia. It's like multi-level. There are trams down here coming up and trams up here coming down, 4 lanes of traffic merging, streets everywhere. And I've looked over and I've gone, oh, there is a great big tree there. So a few weeks later, I walk up there because it's a 5-10 minute walk from a place. It's up the road. Mm-hmm. I've walked past there heaps of times. And I'm there and there's a bit, I know the spot, there's a great big sports stadium. There are also, when you look around, skyscrapers everywhere. And at the point where I'm standing outside the sports stadium, behind me is a very busy street called Fitzroy Street. And I'm just in a normal area with park benches, etc. And as I start walking, I realise that I'm now in native bushland. And it wasn't just because of the sign that said native bushland, but the paths have changed. There's logs going along, making the path. And as you look around, I'm going, I could actually be on a holiday right now in the outback. And I'm looking around and it's like, I'm in bushland and it really looks like bushland. And they've gone to the trouble to make it look like a bush path. But you don't get to go all that far in there because I think from beginning to end, probably 40 or 50 steps and you're out.
Wow.
So if you get to the dead centre and you look around, you see nothing but bushland. Mm-hmm. So if I woke up one day and found myself there, I'd be freaking out because I'd think I just got dumped in the bush. But as you take maybe 5 steps one way, you'll see the top of the stadium. 5 steps another way, the tops of the skyscrapers. 5 steps or 10 steps another way, you start to see the traffic and start to hear it. Hmm. So this little piece of bushland intrigued me. And I started to research it because I thought, oh, they've just made some bushland.
Right.
They haven't. Basically, society has built up, over a few hundred years and left this tiny little piece of bushland there.
That fascinates me.
Oh, it's still got things in it. I mean, when we were shooting, I got bitten by some bugs. So I thought, oh, I've just got a mozzie bite, a mosquito bite. Yeah, give it a week and that'll go away. Eventually, and there was one on the back of my head and one on my shoulder blades, and this is 2.5 years ago. Eventually, I'm off at the chemist and I'm saying, I've had these bites for 6 months. They seem to go away and then come back. And I've got an antihistamine to get rid of the itch. And I've gotten another thing to get rid of the swelling. And I've put that on faithfully for a fortnight and it's gone away. But it keeps coming back. I'm stuck with these forever from being bitten up in the actual area.
Oh my gosh.
Whatever was naturally in that area before is still there.
Wow.
Well, and I've seen the videos of spiders this big crawling around on somebody's, refrigerator.
You guys have some unusual creatures over there.
I couldn't do that. It would scare the crap out of me. So that's the truth.
Wow.
As an inner city boy, walking into that area is a bit scary because in the inner city, in Melbourne at least, you'll get to see huntsman spiders, but the worst of the worst deadly stuff you don't see.
Right.
So you actually have to go, if you're in an outer suburb, which is maybe an hour's travel by public transport, a very outer suburb, people can have kangaroos bounce in, so it does happen. So they're not areas known necessarily for kangaroos and koalas and stuff, but on the odd occasion, they're close enough to the country that it comes in. In fact, an hour and 20 minutes travel, and then you've really got problems if you're driving, because then you have to look out for kangaroos because they're everywhere.
No, I don't think I can do that.
Kangaroos and koalas.
Did the quote unquote fear or that weird feeling in that particular spot help fuel your creative side for the film? Like, did that fear, that feeling of being there actually help you create some of the film?
Yeah.
I'd actually written the film and had it planned before I got bitten up by bugs. It was actually while we were in there that I started dreading it. I don't think Anastasia and Gerardo were too worried about it, but I certainly got bitten up by something in there. I've still got the one on my back that came up a week ago that I think's just gone away. So as soon as the weather changes just enough, I end up with a mosquito bite when there are no mosquitoes around from whatever bit me in there.
Oh
but did the history of the land, we were talking a little bit about the history of those areas and what they meant and how long back some of this stuff goes. Was that on your mind while you were filming this at all, or did it not cross your mind?
Before I scripted it, I thought I knew about the area. Look, in growing up in St Kilda, I didn't see any Aboriginals around at all. The first Aboriginals I saw was when I hopped on a plane with the school group and went to the Northern Territory. So I didn't see any, I hadn't thought about them, and I did ask one day, and I was told, the last of the Aboriginals from here were all sent to Maryland, which is an hour and a half, 2 hours away. And then I was told, they all died of disease, diseases they couldn't handle. In going back and researching the film, I actually found I didn't even find the Maryland story, by the way. It's possibly half true.
Yeah.
But I put some of the things that I found into the film. For instance, Dazza in the film, that's the character I play. I'm not really making fun of Aboriginals, but Dazza is. He is ignorant. He's an idiot. And he goes in and he knows nothing. And when he's mentioned that it's an Aboriginal area, he offends the spirits by acting up. Shazza is the one that gives a little bit of the history that I found. That, you see, in Australia, we don't believe that we had slavery. We look at America and we go, oh boy, that's terrible. We know we've got a shocking history because when I say we, I actually do include Aboriginals. I'm really ashamed that I keep making this mistake because it's somewhere in the back of my mind, the way I've grown up, that I keep saying we, which is what I should say. In fact, I shouldn't even say we because I didn't do it. I didn't get brought. But the history of white Australia going back to British settlement, it's known that this is terrible. We see Aboriginals in chains. We read stuff that I can't mention here. So there has been a genocide against the Aboriginal people. But the one thing that is unknown about that people say don't think happened was slavery. I found out that the local tribe, a lot of the men actually were captured and sent off to slavery on a seal boat.
Wow.
In other words, the tribe here wasn't known for canoes, not that the beach isn't that far away, but they're not a tribe that lived on the beach and lived off of the water. So they're probably people that weren't so familiar with water, and suddenly they're on a boat as slaves killing seals. So I thought, I found that online, and it was a reliable source. So I started finding out a lot about the local Aboriginals, but my film doesn't concentrate on local Aboriginal legend. I actually made a hodgepodge of it on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So the beliefs of one tribe aren't the beliefs of another tribe. And basically, with what I wanted to do was not say this is the Woi Wurrung tribe. I don't know if I did point out what area we're in, but I didn't want to say this is one tribe and I'm representing their views. So I've got in there your medicine man being called the Kaditcha man. Well, Kaditcha is a term from Arnhem Land. It's a very long way from here.
Right.
So I've got Mimi spirits in it. They're from Arnhem Land as well. So I've taken a hodgepodge and created a fake culture for the film.
I think you would almost have to, because you could spend a mini series of short films trying to touch on all the history. You know, I mean, you'd spend all your time doing that, and then we don't get to see you on camera, you know, which is what we want to see.
Well, I think the local tribes more than interesting enough that they just simply deserve their own documentary told in their own voices. But that, if I do get onto that project, and it wouldn't be a bad idea, that's another project entirely. This one is for fun. I want to make people laugh. So yes, it is gory as anything. There are a lot of deaths, and but it's that sort of humor, black humor, where I just want people to, you know, when you start laughing when you shouldn't.
Yes.
It's just a little bit
never
over the
happens
top.
to me. It
No,
never happens to me.
never.
So I wanted to explore a bit of. I wanted it to be schlocky and gory, and in today's day and age, I think the most important thing really to bring us together is humor.
Yes, totally agree.
Yeah, we're spending far too much time looking at the differences between each other and the differences between each other's views, and really separating ourselves, not even having dialogue anymore. So, and I thought about it. I'm a Jewish guy, and I thought, what would happen if I was in Nazi Germany and I was asked to entertain Nazis? And I thought about it from so many views. I thought, would I do that as a Jewish representative to try to say, hey, we're not so different from you? Would I do it? And I thought, we're coming to similar times in that people are becoming very close-minded. There's very little dialogue between people, and people are abusing the internet to get large numbers of people to attack the others that don't have the same view. I thought, all right, and this all came up simply because I thought, look, a white guy, well, I look white, I'm Semitic, but a white guy talking about Aboriginals, I'm inviting cancel culture. And I thought, bugger it, I'm about entertaining. I can't control what other people do, but I think humour brings people together. So, yeah, I've gone for humour.
Yes.
You know, and my thought process on that is I wish it was the one thing that we could kind of let go and just have fun with, and not be in cancel culture and not demand that everything be A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, where we could have a little bit of fun with it and still understand that it's done with love. It's done with understanding. We're having a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Looking at is that the clip that you sent me, Sandy, with him in the car? Was that from this movie?
Oh, hang on. That sounds like Time Goddess that's about to come out.
Is it?
All right. Well, is it the same type of feel to the movie as far as
Time Goddess? Yes. Time Goddess is once again humor and black humor.
I love that so much, and I was going to ask you, like, is there a film or a group of films or a director that kind of you look to get inspiration from some of their work when you create films like this? Somebody that you like?
Yeah, funny thing about that, I started looking back at the people who were influencers, and I thought, well, there's Mel Brooks, Gene Wilder, and as I kept going through the list, it wasn't until the internet age that, and you can go into Wikipedia, and it dawned on me, these are all Jewish people. Lloyd Kaufman.
It's true.
Now, I'm probably the most rejected person from the local Jewish community you could get. If
Why
I've got,
is that?
well, if I've got someone on my films and they're Greek, the local Greek newspaper will give them some coverage saying, hey, this person's in it. If they're Italian or Spanish, they end up in the local paper. The Jewish news won't cover me. And I've even given up even hopping on the phone to them because I'm tired of just coming away thinking that person thinks I'm a lunatic. And
Right.
what I'm about to say is going to sound very offensive to any Jewish person that already has their views set on who they think they are. And because a lot of Jewish people are middle class to upper middle class, this is in the West, and they're usually well-educated and quite liberal. And they've absorbed too much of Christian culture, I'm telling you, because they don't realise that the stories of the Bible right through to the Middle Ages are black humour. And this is where I've gotten it from. That's why all of these Jewish people end up with the same type of black humour. I mean, you might not be familiar with the story of Esther, which is Purim. It's one of the Jewish holidays. Now, I was looking, I know how I was taught it in school, but I read the other version of it from Josephus. Josephus wrote Antiquities of the Jews around 90 AD. And I read it and I thought, oh my God, this is a comedy.
Yes. I'm actually married to a Jewish man. And when he told me the story of Purim, I laughed my butt off because I thought the same thing.
Yeah, that scene where Haman has now been revealed as his decree to kill the Jews is going to kill the queen as well because she happens to be Jewish. The king, Ahasuerus, has just found about it and he's in a rage. And as he's on his way to confront Haman, he walks through the courtyard and sees something like a 60-foot tall crucifix. In other cultures, other tellings, sometimes it's a gallows, but it is a ridiculously huge apparatus for a public killing, because Haman's grandiose and he wants to show off. And the king sees it and he's in a rage. Haman finds out that the king's after him and goes straight to Queen Esther. Now, she's reclining on a couch because that's pretty much in Roman times, they used to recline on couches, and the Josephus version is from Roman times, not the Persian times. But it's theoretically, she could have been leaning on a couch in Persian times. So she's leaning on a couch and she's back. And Haman is shaking because he's scared and he falls on his knees and he lands on her and he's shaking her saying, please, please, please. The king walks in and says, Haman, first you tried to kill my wife, now you're trying to ravish her? That humor is right throughout the Old Testament.
Yes.
My gosh, that sounds like an episode of Three's Company from 1975. I mean, it's not that far off.
I'm thinking to myself, let's jump forward to Fiddler on the Roof, Sholem Aleichem. So I can't remember when he wrote, but it was when the shtetls of Russia were still going. So his story might take place maybe 1860. Mm-hmm. There's a scene. Golda has agreed with the matchmaker that Laser Wolf can marry the daughter because basically a matchmaker used to make the matches then. Tevye is a milkman. He hates Laser Wolf, who's a butcher. And the butcher happens to be quite rich, but he's also quite old. And basically Golda is told by the matchmaker, just get Tevye to talk to Laser. Laser's a good man. He'll be able to make him come around. He'll be able to talk to him. Don't tell Tevye anything else. Tevye going along and he's thinking, what the hell could Laser want from me? He wants to slaughter my new milk cow. He's a butcher. That's what they do. So he goes along to talk to Laser Wolf and they're having two separate conversations. And Tevye's saying, if I give you one now, you'll come back for another. And Laser says, what would I do with two? And Tevye says, the same as you do with one. And Laser's thinking, he thinks I'm going to be having married to two of his daughters, not one. So it's actually quite a filthy thing, about threesomes.
Yeah.
But this is the black humor in Judaism.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a Jewish boy or girl could come along absorbing all of this and not have it come out. But the community is too conservative. They don't want to think about themselves and black humor. And a man like Lloyd Kaufman from Troma would probably be the world's greatest embarrassment. But I thought, you have a look at my band picture. I was brought up with Kiss,
Yep.
You can.
Yep.
I didn't know at the time. I mean, we were being told you shouldn't get into Kiss. This wasn't the Jews telling us it. It was the Christians are saying it's kids in Satan's service. I mean, turns out Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons are Jewish, and we don't really have Satan in Judaism and this devil character. But it was considered outrageous that I'd be into Kiss, and Kiss said they were influenced by the New York Dolls. Well, I just found out that the guitarist who recently passed away from the New York Dolls was Jewish. He was a rhythm guitarist. Their manager, Malcolm McLaren, was Jewish and even had a bar mitzvah.
Oh,
so I keep looking at all of this and I go, oh my God, the community might reject me and I might never, the Jewish film festivals will not look at my stuff. I seem to be somebody that is considered filthy in their eyes. Yeah. And I thought, I'm the part of you don't want to admit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I can see that being the case all the way around. I want to talk more about the Badass Bunyip. Can you give us a little bit more about the storyline that you've created here and where it kind of goes?
Yeah. Well, first thing, I wanted to reflect Australian culture. To that, for a lot of Australians, just like Jewish people rejecting me, Australians actually have what we call a cultural cringe. So what we've done is gone the opposite way to anything that Aussies would really want. They don't want your outer suburban Aussies being depicted in there. So it's full on, I mean, Dazza rocks up and says, God, I'm as dry as a dead dingo's donger. And it's full of this sort of thing that is just going to kill them. And Dazza's not so bright. I mean, Dazza is with Shazza and they're off for their picnic lunch. And he's chosen a spot that nobody ever goes to. But the reason they don't go to it is because it's a sacred Aboriginal area. In other words, you're not allowed in there. There may be dangers in there. Turns out that there are dangers in there. They actually encounter two very separate dangers, which I hope don't get too confused in the film. But I did my best to try to keep things clear. First off, because Dazza is joking around and he's an idiot, he's actually desecrated the Aboriginal site. So he's offended the Aboriginal spirits. But it's also an area that a Bunyip's in. It actually is a real area that I was in. Technically, it's not actually a sacred site for the Aboriginals, the area I was in. It's an area of importance, but not one that you're not allowed to go to. That's why there's signs telling you what everything is in the area. So this isn't secret men's business, secret women's business, and that we've run to a place that's actually sealed off. It's not. It's for the public.
Okay. But
in my film, it's an area you're not allowed to be in. And what's happened is society has slowly built up and left this tiny little chunk of native bushland surrounded by skyscrapers, a sports stadium, a massive road with a lot of public transport, multi-level, and a shopping strip, a large shopping strip. So you don't need to imagine it. That actually is the way it is. It's how it exists. Inside, there's been a bunyip there all the time. And that bunyip goes nuts every 20 years when it's spawning time. But it actually kills in between. But, every year, a couple of dogs and a cat and a derelict go missing and nobody's taking too much notice. And maybe the council themselves have got a bit to do with covering it up. They do seem to know, but they're covering it up. And so the bunyip's lair happens to be in that area too. Now, as pointed out in the film, that the Aboriginal tribe that was there never had a problem with the bunyip. I mean, if you've got 40,000 plus years of history, you do learn to coexist in your area. But a bunch of colonial white people that have all come from other countries and not respected the original inhabitants, not taken enough notice or listened to them, they're not living in harmony. In fact, the attitude has been to destroy it and build your own thing, destroy that, build your own thing. And that's what they've done. Destroyed everything around, built their own thing. And inside is this bushland. And Shazza and Dazza walk straight into it all, and all hell breaks loose.
So let me just guess, is there some death in this one?
I wanted to get the kill count up to one that was higher than any other movie possible. And I did have a scene scripted in there, but I couldn't get enough people.
Oh, man, we would have come over just to be dead bodies or whatever.
That would have
yeah.
been great.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
Oh, that's sort of my fault. What happened was the very first, one of the very first movies that I got onto, indie movies in Melbourne, talk about the same little industry that I'm in, I managed to get them. They were worried that they couldn't get enough zombies for their movie, right? They said, we've never got more than 8 or 10 people before. I said, don't worry, I'll get you some publicity. Everybody in that room was actually putting shit on me. Oops, swore. Is that okay?
No,
You're okay.
You're
okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just said, yeah, I'll get you some publicity. I've been in the band for so long that the band, before any gig, would get the local papers. So I'd say, hey, we're gigging in Footscray in 2 weeks' time. We get the local papers, the pictures, and some sort of blurb, and you get into the local papers. You went on the local radio station, whatever show was appropriate. Say, Darkness Visible is gigging in Footscray in 2 weeks' time, and you build up the publicity, or you got nobody coming in the front door. So I knew I could get them publicity. What I didn't know was that the damn thing would become the front page of local papers, 6-star newspapers.
Oh, wow.
Half page on the front page, and in 7-leader papers, somewhere around page 5 or 6 for about 1/8 of a page. That clicked off jealousies that never stopped, and slander. Not every, but a lot of other filmmakers in Melbourne, they spend their time slandering me. So they go, oh, don't go on a David Black picture. You'll destroy your reputation. This guy makes B-grade porn. This guy is suspicious. And they go on and on and on and on because they want to destroy me, because I just got something so big so quickly. Right. And instead of being a blip that comes and goes, having been a zombie on a movie, I've got like 45 shorts out. I've got a series called Horror House. I've got 3 feature films about to come out. So, I've clicked off the jealousies, and it's not just our little scene. I mean, the jealousies actually don't go beyond our little scene. Mm-hmm. But that's where, in my little neck of the woods, you've got to get the actors. So, yeah, they basically hamstrung me there. We had enough fake blood. I wanted to get this one scene that looks like a video game, when you run through Quake or Half-Life, and it's like boom, 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 and you just see the hands.
Yes.
And and remember Gangs of New York, where it's dun 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 dun. I wanted one of those scenes where you just see the Bunyip's hands, and he's going one person after the other, and only 10 people rocked up. So all 10 people ended up being bumped up. Instead of being quick kills, they ended up being closer to feature kills. So, yeah, there's a lot of kills, but I did not get the kill rate up to, I think I was planning 90. I got
10.
I think we're over 10.
Oh,
I
good.
think we're over 10.
Well, when we watch the movie, we'll keep track and we'll let you know exactly how many there are. Yeah.
Now,
you're in charge of that. You're in charge of that, Sandy.
Let me ask you this question. Now, I know that making a film is a lot of work, but it's got to be a lot of fun. So which is it? More work, less fun, more fun, less work to you?
I'm going to say the work bit, even though I do this for fun. You see, your movie doesn't finish when it's out.
Mm-hmm.
I've got people doing stuff mainly volunteer, although there are token payments. So, if there's a makeup artist on there, they're not going to be out of pocket. Right. But a token payment really means that, I've covered your costs of the product you've used and maybe $5 over or $10 over.
Right.
It's not like you got paid for a day's work. So they're in it right. Volunteer. That means they're in it because they want something from it. That's where work comes in. I believe I owe every single person that's been in any one of my films that I have to get that film promoted and that I have to get that film placed. I personally think YouTube is a good enough place, but it's risky. People lose their YouTube accounts like that, and you can put in as many complaints and stuff as you like and try to go through the process, but you won't get your YouTube place. Mm-hmm. So I do need to balance it out by making sure that film is in at least 5 places. So getting it placed is one thing, which doesn't take too long, but then it's publicity. I need to get as many blog articles out. I need to get onto as many podcasts. I need to keep promoting. So I'm not actually on here to say, hey, everybody, look at David Black. I'm a big star. It's like, hey, everybody, look at poor me. I owe everybody. So
you came to the wrong place. We do that every week.
so Anastasia stars in this, and she gave up 4 to 5 days of filming. In fact, Anastasia, there were scenes in that where we had to really do them a bit differently because they revolted Anastasia.
Really?
Yeah, so I was like, okay, we're just going to capture that me from the back. You won't see Anastasia, so you're not in the frame. Okay, now we're going to film you close up, Anastasia. Act revolted. And to balance it out, actually, there were times that I was too revolted to actually do the scene. I'd be saying, yeah, I can sit here, but I can't pretend that I'm really engrossed and really getting into this. I can't not react to that. Right. So don't put me in it, then film me separately to cut my reactions in. So, it's going to have to be worth it for her to have been put through that. Sure, there's also a running scene at the end. Now,
I can't run for free.
Yeah,
there'd have to be some sort of payment.
Well, what comes up is maybe 30 seconds of running in the film.
But
I think I got her running for 2.5 hours.
Oh, that poor thing.
Gosh.
You are evil. No wonder.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So I said to her beforehand, do you really want to do this? We're running all the way from here, all of the way. Oh, boy. I could walk the distance. I couldn't run it. And I pointed out where we're running. And I was saying, do you know how far that is? She's going, yeah. I said, we'll only do it in chunks, right? Because we had to stop and move the car each time, But, she did it. So, she runs all of the way from the park. Oh, I'm not going to tell you. She just runs a lot.
Right.
Yeah, so I ran her to death. I revolted her. She got
I can't wait
tortured.
to see this. Oh my gosh, that's so great.
Okay, there's no torture of her in it. But it was hard work.
Yeah.
So all I gave her for it was I fed her. Although I am going to say this, I bought her a main meal at this place that she loved it. And I said, did you want another? And I expected her to say no, because I'd eaten the main meal too with her and thought, God, I'm stuffed. She goes, yeah.
Good for her, yes.
Yay!
So I bought her another main meal. Now, she was actually very generous. She said, oh, yeah, here, you can have my drink. So I got to have an extra yogurt lassie. But,
Oh, my God. So has she worked with you before, or was this the first time you worked with her?
We've worked together heaps of times.
Yeah.
And the more I don't think she ever thought she was going to do one like this, right? Because we've got one that just suddenly got dragged out of nowhere and got put into the Fortean Film Festival that's called Parental Duties. It's the exact opposite. It's a really serious dystopian sci-fi that goes into some very deep conversations that revolve around this one point. Does the end justify the means, or does the means justify the end?
Mm-hmm.
I won't tell you what the conclusion is, but she's the one that's coming up with these points of, she's coming up with some very deep arguments in it, and it's a very serious movie. They have a baby that they have been told, if you want to join the resistance and come here and you're going to be fed and you're going to be able to do things, we can't have a baby here. They're stuck with the decision, will they or won't they kill their baby as the price of admission to the resistance?
Wow.
Ooh.
So
That's tough.
she does a brilliant job in it, and which is probably why this movie, it's a short, but it's a 17-minute short. It's probably why this movie keeps coming back.
Sure.
So that one's come back. Now, I did have her in another, I've had her in a lot, but I had her in another one that's almost the opposite of that is not humorous at all, which is a full-on gory movie called Sinister Symbiosis. And in it, I forgot the name of what she calls herself. She's Anastasia, but she's, what's the female equivalent of a misogynist again?
I don't know. I can't think of it.
There is one. She says in this, when we talk about it, says, Dave, you're very wrong. In this film, I'm not a feminist. I am an absolute outright man-hater. And basically in this, it's a bondage session. It turns out that it's between a sister and a brother. And anyway, they do go into a lot of concepts. When it especially goes wrong when the brother starts talking about reincarnation, out-of-body experiences, phantom limb syndrome, because she just does not like religion either. So,
and when did this movie come out?
Probably 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember. I've actually been working around the clock almost, not on the films,
Mm-hmm.
with the exception of going to work, because I go to work and then I come home and then I'm working on the films, and at work I might keep notepad up on the computer or a notepad and jot down things as they come to me.
Sounds like us.
Yes.
Yeah, all of us that have a project and a passion and work, well, I've been like that for 5 years straight, so I can't remember exactly when Sinister Symbiosis came out, but it's doing the rounds too. So she's had these very different characters, and now in fact, I would call those two characters quite sophisticated. They're very intelligent. She plays very intelligent women that have strong views on something.
Mm-hmm.
When she plays Shazza, she hasn't got any views on anything, and she's a bogan.
And she runs a lot, apparently.
Now, David, when does Badass Bunyip actually come out? When can we expect to see the film?
We didn't set a date. I just asked Gerardo, when will you have this edited? And a few weeks ago, he said 4 or 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm telling people 4 weeks. But Gerardo will probably get me a version of it soon, and I'll look through it. And then it depends how many things I think need changing. Theoretically, I could just say yes to anything and just let it go out, because Gerardo is a genius.
Yes.
There are no films. Well, there are films without him, because I didn't do everything with him, but there is no film without him, and he comes up with great things. But every now and again, I'll tweak stuff. And so it depends on how much I feel needs changing, or did something get misunderstood? Was his way better, or was my way better? So it all depends on me. But I believe Gerardo will have this finished in 4 weeks.
And we can look on your YouTube channel and keep a watch out. And that's where all of your films are, correct?
Yeah. My plan is, and this goes against all conventional wisdom, but my plan is just to put it on YouTube out there for free.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody worked on it volunteer. So they're after having their work seen and being able to be seen. So if I, as a producer, say, you know what, if I hold on to this and start negotiating for 6 months, I bet you I could get this a limited release in Europe and be given $5,000. And I bet you I can get it a limited release across the USA on DVD and get another $5,000. I've got a roof above my head, food on the table. Forget the money. The producers that do that never give any of that $5,000 to the actors or anybody else, because they look at it and they say, oh, no, it still costs me. Of course it costs me. It's my hobby. Yeah. People pump all of their money into a speedboat, or
right.
war games or whatever, and they don't turn around and say their hobby is anything more than a hobby. So what I owe everybody is the ability to have their work seen, try to get that name up big enough that if it's an actor that's hoping to use this to get work, they can turn around and say, I was on Badass Bunyip, and the other person says, oh, actually, I've heard of that. I said, oh, you were that character. You know what? We've got some work for you. So I owe people to be able to have their film seen as widely as I can possibly make it. So my plan is YouTube. What I can't remember is, did I promise any DVD companies? There's two that I talked to.
You got to start writing more stuff down. If you get that initial thing back and you look at it and you decide you need, say, like an American male or an American female, just to do a couple of cuts of like, or ooh, something like that, give us a call. We're all in.
We're all about it.
We did that for Toxic Alien Zombie Babes. And in fact, there actually is a podcaster in there that gets killed during their podcast.
Now, wait a minute. Wait, before we let you go, just say the name and say the name again, the full name, and we have to be watching for this one.
Toxic Alien Zombie Babes from Outer Space.
There we go.
There is nothing about that title that is wrong. It is everything that is right. I got to tell you right now. So
fantastic.
Well, there's already 2 trailers and a featurette up on my YouTube, so you can actually see the footage from it. Not all of it. It's 3.5 hours long, but you can see a good 5 minutes worth.
Well,
your work was spot on too. Your work was spot on.
That's great. That's fantastic. I think we all need to go over to YouTube and look at that trailer as well as Badass Bunyip. David, I can't thank you enough for joining us tonight. Is there anything that you want to leave us with where anybody else can contact you other than YouTube? You do have a Twitter, I believe, and your website. We have your website up right now. Any parting words for your audience this evening?
Well, I've found that everything changes so fast with the internet. There really isn't a permanent spot. I mean, you can lose a Facebook page tomorrow and be having to rebuild it. You can lose your YouTube tomorrow. I don't think I'm too hard to find. And just a search of me on Google will come up with about 4 pages on Google of different interviews I've done with blogs. So if somebody's determined enough, they'll be able to find me online. Well, they may as well go to the YouTube channel. It's a complete collection at this time. If it ever something happens and it goes down, then I'll build up the Vimeo or one of the other channels. Sure. But YouTube at the moment is the most complete collection.
I have got to get a signed autograph on this, by the way, just so you know. That's got to hang in my studio from now on.
Oh, Darkness Visible went for 20 years. I really had to bring the live show to an end because they weren't actors. So when you've got the real deal, total nutters, once we had the chainsaw going in it, and I realised that even without a chain on it, that it could still be dangerous.
Sure, yeah.
I just realised that we became a studio band. The last song I released was about 4 years ago, but Darkness Visible was too wild to keep going. I thought, no, I don't want to get myself killed, and this stuff is just ridiculous. It's over the top and it's dangerous.
Yeah. But what a wild ride.
Absolutely.
Oh, God, right. Yeah. If I ever told the stories, everyone would say, no,
hello,
this guy's a liar.
There's your book deal right there.
Yeah, there's your book.
No. The band went for 20 years. It started in like 1994 and it only came to an end around 2009 or 10.
Wow.
So, yeah, there's a lot of wild stories, and some of them could put me in jail.
I was just going to say,
Matt.
you'd probably have to be careful of that. David Black, thanks for being with us tonight. Hang out in the green room for us, okay? Stay there.
No worries.
Thanks.
Well, that was good. That
I
was
love
fun.
him. I love him. I could just sit here and talk to him all night. I'm sure he's got so many stories that we haven't even begun to touch upon yet. So a big, big thanks to writer, producer, director David Black from Melbourne, Australia.
Well, and like you said, actor, because I loved his stuff that you showed me. That was good stuff.
Oh my gosh. I cannot wait to see Badass Bunyip. I really am excited. And the whole zombie babes thing. I have to go check out that trailer.
Toxic alien zombie babes from outer space.
There we go. There we go.
Got the whole title there, and I've got to get that picture signed. So
definitely, without a doubt. All right.
Thanks to our moderator tonight, Jason. Thanks to everybody tuning in and putting your comments and all that kind of stuff. We will see you Sunday.
Sunday fun day at 1 p.m. Eastern this Sunday with the Adirondack Park Paranormal Society.
All right. Till then, see ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye.